Our next session is a session on innovation beyond silos. This session invites us to look beyond roles, departments, and labels, and to think about how ideas move when people, disciplines, and perspectives genuinely connect. To lead this session, yes, I repeat, to lead this session, I invite Dr. Swayam Sodha, founder Swamazon, to join us on the stage. And Dr. Swayam, we are eagerly looking forward to hear to your perspectives. Over to you.
Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, thanks for this wonderful opportunity, and I'm really delighted to be here on the stage. And just to bring some change to this conference, I would like to start with some few short stories. Are you all ready? Okay, so my first story will be about five blind people and an elephant. I know it's quite famous. There are five blind men trying to discover an elephant. One touched the leg. He said it's like a pillar. One touched the head tail. He said it's a rope. One touched the ear. He said it's like a fan. And even when they combined all their ideas together, still they came nowhere close to elephant. What's the moral of the story? It's basically understanding and innovation requires a holistic perspective. Next is a king's milk test, where there was a kingdom and a king had told his villagers to put 1 liter of milk on a shilling. But everybody thought that to save some money, I'll pour water, and others will pour the milk. And coincidentally, everybody thought the same. And at the end, no one put actual milk on it, and only water was poured. So what's the lesson behind it? It's that innovation cannot be wish driven. Relying on assumptions is failure. So take the responsibility and act decisively. Next is about a boy who wanted to learn swimming by reading. There was one boy who was interested in learning swimming. He read multiple books on it. He created wonderful presentations. He documented all of the stuff. But only thing he didn't do was actually going inside of the water and trying swimming because he was scared that he might drown. And with that fear, he didn't ever water. What is it? That knowledge alone does not create results, and experimentation and hands-on actions are essential. Well, keeping in mind, let us provide a presentation on innovation beyond silos. So, yeah. So first of all, why innovation beyond silos, and what's the problem with silos? So, remember the first story about the elephant? Like that, at the end, everybody will have different views. Similarly, like hardware teams optimize performance, software teams optimize features, architects optimize abstraction, designers optimize experience, and also security optimizes risks. This all outcome for all of this is a localized excellence, but there's a systemic failure. The message behind this is that innovation does not fail because of the lack of talent. It fails because the thinking is fragile. Basically, there are coordination failures. So, innovation is a journey, not a department. It is an end-to-end discipline. So, here we'll be talking about some innovation spans. So, what are the innovation spans? They are like atoms, which include physics and hardware. They have bits, which include software and data. There are different kinds of systems, which include operating systems, platforms, networks, and all. Then, of course, there should be humans, which include usability and trust. Then there's society, which includes regulations, ethics, and scale. This emphasizes that silos are rational, they are not malicious. But the problem emerges at interfaces like power versus performance, UX versus security, speed versus reliability. However, I'm not telling you to be an expert in everything, but just saying to have a holistic view upon the industry. As most failures occur when one layer is handed off to the another. So to become innovator, you must travel end to end from silicon to impact. So next we move on on to the ideation stage, where innovation actually begins in our brain. So see, every idea is started in our brain. They are not any kind of random ideas of volume. What is an innovation? Identifying the need of an hour and working on that to provide some good solutions on it. It is basically problem framing with constraint awareness. For example, if I'm working on battery life, it immediately shapes my architecture and the UX limitations. It automatically forces me to align across the discipline and prevent late stage work. Yeah. So what a good ideation considers? It considers things like physical constraints, like power, heat, and latency. Then things like system constraints, which include OS, scheduling, and memory. Then human constraints, which include attention, error, and trust. Then of course business constraints, which are like cost, scale, and regulation. Then ideations are tools that cuts across disciplines. They are like first principles thinking, jobs to be done, failure first thinking, like how this will break this thing can cause problems in it. Previously. Yeah. So how this will break? Then there are things like reverse assumptions and all. Uh, Yeah, there is reverse assumptions and constraint-driven creativity. So thinking on constraints does not reduce creativity; they sharpen it. Next is the prototyping stage, thinking with your hands, not literally thinking with your hands, but rather creating something out of it. Like in my prototyping stage, I created different prototypes. I'd like to just display them a little quick. So these were some of the types of prototypes which I had created. It can be anything ranging from this raw prototypes to perfect a model like this one. This is also a prototype, but it is just well finished. So this anything can be a prototype ranging from this raw to perfection. So prototypes are actually thinking artifacts whose goal is to surface the unknowns, technical or human issues as soon as possible. So there can be different formats prototype your ideas. Like they can be in the form of paper sketches, breadboards, simulations, MVP firmware, or clickable UX demos. So you see, the highest risk components such as the timing, power, and human error are often ignored until they are too late. So analysts should practice fast feedback loops like build, test, break, learn, and repeat. You should measure reality, not assumptions. Prototype across layers, not just UI or code. See, if you cannot fail early, it is not a prototype. Then comes into picture fundamentals, where physics always wins. But just a reminder that this all is a part of a single product life cycle, and all the innovations that come into the market have to go through this all stages. So with that in mind, let's proceed with the hardware fundamentals. So see, you don't need to be a hardware, but respect physics. You can't just ignore it like mobile phones which you use every day, and it may also have many software problems. But understanding hardware discipline that benefits software and system thinking. There's some key concepts that innovation know about, which I like to highlight here, which are like power, voltage, current, heat dissipation, clock speeds and timing, sensors versus actuators, noise, tolerances, and failure modes. You should also have a hardware troubleshooting mindset. Like if it does not mean that if it's working on your desk or in your environment, it does not mean that it will work in the industry. Most of the bugs step in the concept of power instability, timing violation, and or environmental stress. See, hardware bugs are bold, and their failures are loud, visible, measurable, and unforgiving. Next comes the operating system, where control meets chaos. OS as a great mediator. So, the operating system is like a technical brain that resolves conflicts under constraint. What an OS balances? It balances things like performance versus fairness, latency versus throughput, isolation versus sharing, thinking, where at the low level you can have things like C, C++, memory, or computers. Whereas on the application layer, there are APIs and services. On the next sheet, that is distributed systems, you have clouds and microservices. Sorry. Then at the data and intelligence stage, you have ML and AI. And then when you proceed toward more advanced stuff, which is about agentic AI, which some of our respected the speakers have already mentioned about. I don't need to explain that. So basically the same algorithm behaves very differently under different types of time constraints. As the system scales up, its predictability decreases unless it is explicitly designed for. Real-time efforts versus best world efforts. Yeah. So the hard real-time, which is like a missed deadline, it is almost equal to a failure. There's soft real-time as well, which is like a degraded experience. And also, cloud systems are not embedded guarantees. So do not get blinded porting to cloud assumptions into embedded or safety critical environments. Now we'll be talking about embedded software where code meets the reality. Sorry to say, but embedded teams are conservative as the cost of failure is asymmetric and often irreversible. There are different kinds of embedded engineers pain. It's like limited memory and compute with tight timing margins, no debug in production while hardware quirks and its behavior are undefined. And also embedded innovation demands humility and discipline. So, yes, embedded innovation requires discipline. As firmware updates are costly, bugs can break devices, while field failures hurt brand trust. Now we'll be talking about design thinking, technology in the service of humans, basically human-centered innovation. So, in design thinking is when you step into the shoes of a user and think from the user's perspective how you would like to experience the product as. Users for whom the innovation of the product is made, they don't care about the architecture. So better reframe the UX as risk mitigation. Trying to build complex and confusing systems creates user error, which ultimately becomes a system failure. So every innovator should take a design thinking approach and care about the ease, trust, safety, and reliability. The design thinking loop is like empathize, define, ideate, prototype, test, and repeat. Design is not a decoration; it's a decision making under empathy. So next comes the testing stage, where truth lives testing across the stack. Let's understand that testing is not a phrase; it's a continuous learning system. The more complex the system, the earlier and broader the testing must be undertaken, as there are different kinds of tests as well, like unit test, integration test, hardware in the loop, and the security testing. Basically, testing is the only place where assumptions are exposed. The holistic innovator mindset, the T-shaped in it. Okay. So, can any of you guess what a T means here? To give a clue, it consists of one a horizontal and one vertical line. Any one of you would like to guess? Okay, no one. Okay, then I'll answer that. So here the T represents deep expertise in one area. The breadth enables a better depth. It allows one to anticipate downstream consequences. Basically, you may have deep understanding in one topic, where you should have a holistic overview of the whole industry. Like the things we mentioned in, like hardware, systems, software, humans, and businesses. You should think like a hardware engineer who respects physics, a system architect who manages complexity, embedded developer who manages code differentiability, and a designer who feels human pain points, and a leader who balances the trade-offs. Yeah, so what are the principles of a holistic innovator? The principles of a holistic innovator are they should respect constraints, build for scale, embrace trade-offs, optimize for learning, not ego, and stay curious across domains. And of course, keep humans at the center. Well, to conclude, practical innovation cannot be in silos. The future innovator is not the smartest coder or the best designer or the deepest hardware expert. The future innovator is the one who connects it all. And basically, innovation happens when hardware, software, and systems and individual innovators stop working in isolation and start thinking together as one system. Thank you for your time and patience. And if you all have any questions, you can shoot. Any questions?
Okay. So thank you so much, Dr. Swayam. At an age where most of us are still trying to figure out our interests, you are already shaping ideas with depth and clarity. Hearing you explain product life cycle with such clarity at this age certainly makes many of us rethink about our journeys. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you and Jai Hind.
Be here for a moment, please, as we recognize your contribution, for which I'd like to invite Mr. Venu Gopal from Yagas Technologies